Well, at 20 minutes to 5, we can now say the decision taken in 1975 by this country to join the common market has been reversed by this referendum to leave the EU.
Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gents. I'm making a quick video today. I just want to dispel some of the myths about Marine Le Pen, about her being a far-right Nazi, as the British media and I'm sure the French media are doing the same thing, portraying her that way. And I just want to just put this right, really, because it frustrates me how the media... I mean, I speak to people who don't really know much about politics, and if you say Le Pen, they would just immediately think, ooh, bad as Hitler, that one, you know, Nazi, ooh, terrible person. But it's not true. And if you get down to the politics, like this interview here, which she has with Nigel Farage, she tells... It's a very sensible view she has on Islam, in my opinion. And I'm going to just show you I'll just do the interview part for the video.
I'm Nigel Farage, and today, exclusively for LBC, I'm going to be interviewing Marine Le Pen, the French presidential candidate and the front runner in the election. It's a two-round election, the first one in April and the second one in May. Marine, thank you for agreeing to do this.
C'est un plaisir.
It's a pleasure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fast forward to around, I think it's about 23 minutes-ish. It's around here, I think. And she just finished up talking about some policies and then...
Medical care, schools, housing, various subsidies, social fraud, which seems to be a sport in France practiced by more and more people, and for which there is not enough cracking down. This we will need to...
Ironic that, isn't it? She's just talking about that dodging taxes and stuff is a sport in France, and it is in a lot of European countries, and that's why it's very difficult to put us all in the one pot like the EU want to, because countries are so different. Like Greece, dodging taxes and things is a national sport, and obviously same in France. Anyway, sorry, I digress. This is back to about while I think Marine Le Pen is not a racist and not a far-right candidate, and this is what her views are. I think Nigel's about to ask her the question.
Alleviate the pressure exerted on household and corporate taxes.
Yeah, I mean, talking about sort of community and how happy people feel, you know, London's mayor is a Muslim, which I would have thought is an example of integration and success. But I want you to clarify something for me, because there are a lot of leaders of Eurosceptic movements around Europe who have a somewhat different perspective on this. But is the religion of Islam, in your opinion, incompatible with our Western lifestyle?
Non, moi je ne le crois pas.
No.
Straight away, yeah? Did you see her shaking her head straight away? No? She's not against Islam, right? So stop saying she's against Muslims and everything else, because she's not. She's clearly not. Now listen to her opinion on it, and it's quite good.
No, I don't think so, because I think that compatibility has to do with an individual approach. Sectarianism is incompatible, radical Islam is incompatible, and I will fight that because I want to eradicate it from my country. But you can be French and Muslim without a problem. But what needs to be fought are those who have a political vision of Islam, those who want to impose the laws of Islam and place them above the laws of the French Republic, above the rules that govern the constitution and the ones that govern our civilization. But not all people are like that, far from it. Some are just people who have faith and they are free to believe in what they want.
So what's wrong with that? Right? What is wrong with her saying she has no problem with Muslims, she doesn't have a problem with Islam, just the radical Islam and the political form of Islam, which is the one that forces opinion upon everybody else, which is the one that everyone is tired of, right? No one's bothered, you know, is it the Sunni version of Islam? I'm not quite sure on that, I'm not sure. But I know there are some radical versions of Islam that are simply not compatible with life in the West, and you can see that. You can see that the way Muslims are in the country now compared to what they were 20 years ago. There's a big difference, and there's a huge difference. They're so desperate to cling on to their own identity and their uniqueness that they're segregating themselves. They're being segregated from the rest of it, and it's not good. And Marine Le Pen is clearly not a racist. Yeah, she has a very sensible view, and if more politicians took that view rather than hiding behind hiding behind the political correctness and just assuming that everyone who had this kind of view is instantly a racist. It could be a problem that could be dealt with. People could integrate better. They could get rid of half of these problems, but they don't, and all they're doing is a vicious circle all the time. You keep telling somebody they're a victim, which the PC Brigade do. You keep telling them they're a victim, eventually they're going to believe they're a victim. They're going to believe that they're being victimised. And it's going to cause resentment and more segregation and more divisiveness. And I can't understand why they don't see this. I'm just going to let Marine Le Pen carry on with her explanation.
That is French-style freedom as well. So you have to make a distinction between the two. I am not involved in any religious war. I am fighting totalitarian ideology, which is Islamist fundamentalism, and it has disseminated. It has been recruiting. It has been extending its influence with the blessing of our leaders for years and years.
Yeah, I mean, parts of France are very troubled, and I think I get the impression travelling through France as I do that the French as a nation are worried, that they're concerned about what's happening in their communities. And they look at you, and they look at what you're saying, and a lot of them say, yeah, you know, Marine Le Pen, she's brave, she's standing up, she's saying what we think. But there's always been this one lingering difficulty, and it is that the Front National, in its history, whether fairly or unfairly, had always been seen to have links or members or activists that said anti-Semitic things or things that caused outrage. I mean, have you changed the Front National? Is it now a different party?
See, this is a good question that Nigel's asking here, because especially in the UK, we have a much more, what do we say, hard right, well, basically fascists and racists that run the National Front in the UK, and that's a very it's always been known for skinheads and things like that, and they're a hardline racist group. And in the UK, the media have been trying to conflate the Front National with the National Front, and they're two separate things. And I think the Front National used to be quite like that when Marine Le Pen's father was involved, but she's taken over, and she's a much more moderate person. She's nowhere near as hard right as he was, and they're deliberately allowing this misnomer to be carried forward that they're still racist and they hate all coloured people, and they hate, and you know, it's just nonsense, utter nonsense. And I'll let Marine explain to herself why the Front National is not like that anymore.
From when you first became leader.
Bon, vous savez, déjà quand on veut accuser, quand on veut
first of
se
all,
débarrasser de son chien,
when you
on dit en
want to
France,
get
on
rid of
accuse
your
de
dog,
rage.
there's a
Bon,
saying in
ça veut dire
France
que, en
that
réalité,
says when you want to get rid of your dog, you say it's
parti
rabbit.
politique qui a
Now,
représenté,
every political
une
party
espérance,
who has stood for patriotic hope against the system has always been accused of getting it wrong. Some people have spoken unbearable words in my movement, but you shouldn't judge me on those words. You should judge me in terms of the way I reacted to that. And every time someone said something unacceptable, I immediately excluded that person from the movement, and things have been very clear. Believe me, I did not hesitate when I did that, so much so that I excluded from the National Front my very own father, the very founder and leader of the National Front for 40 years. And this was not an easy decision, but I believe that we could not tolerate words, unacceptable words that would lead to a caricature of our movement. What we're doing is important. Our mission to save France is so important, not so much for France, but for the whole world. I believe that the world needs France, this special voice, this special way of seeing things with a sense of balance, of diplomatic relations. And I could not accept some things, even coming from my own family, from my father, despite his role. This is a mission, and I could not accept that this mission should be compromised by unacceptable provocation.
So, I mean, look at that. She's actually kicked out her own father out of the party because he was too far right. I mean, what does that tell you? That tells you everything, doesn't it? Le Pen is not the monster that the media in this country are trying to make out. She's not the monster that the media in other countries are trying to make out. She is what the media and the political elites all hate. she's anti-establishment. And they cannot stand anybody who's anti-establishment, especially the EU. They hate anybody who's anti-establishment. So I just hope, for the sake of everyone else, the people just get a better idea now that Marine Le Pen's nowhere near as bad as you think she is, the way that our media portrayed her. And I hope this video can just go some way to showing you that. And I just hope that the results come out well in France and Le Pen gets a lot of support. Whether the people of France and the leaders of France will do anything about her getting all that support is another matter. But good luck to Le Pen in France, and thank you for watching this video.